Hello and welcome to our very empty van at the moment. We took out the shelf that was here, all the cushions are gone, our refrigerator's gone because there was a mouse in our van. Probably bad karma from making fun of Mike so much when we were building this out. Mouse! While we've been away from our van because we took a little time off for the holidays and then we also just came back from Hawaii, you're probably not going to see this video until after we finished our last 2 states, which we're super excited about. But what we're doing here today is prepping our van, getting it back ready to be able to actually go to our last 2 states.
In the process of getting rid of the mouse, we ended up having to pull down the plastic part of the overhead shelving. We're going to take this down, reattach the front plastic original piece to the ceiling, and then mount this back up, but we'll bring you along so you can see how we did everything.
So what we had to do was unclip the shelf right there to get a little bit of space to be able to put some mice traps in, because we thought that the mouse was up here and it was confirmed after we finally got it that it was up in this area. It's not the easiest to snap back into place now that we've undid it with this big heavy shelf on that we added. So we're gonna take this off, fix the plastic shelf, and then reinstall all of this. Just to further explain, if you're not familiar with the Ford Transit Connects, this plastic part here is the original shelf, and all of this is what we added onto it to get some extra storage space. Mike is now undoing our little holder for our Max Air fan. Oh, we already lost the screw.
Right now we're just taking down the decorative elements, which are these white, not quite wood, not quite styrofoam pieces. They were lightweight and they covered up this metal framework, which was just their main goal. They're not really anything other than a piece to hide this and make it look a little bit nicer. But these metal brackets are really the main frame of this overhead shelving. So we'll finish getting these pieces off and be able to get to the actual shelf itself. So basically there's these cross beams, a metal cross beam, so we use self-drilling screws, attach that piece of wood, and then off of that piece of wood and into the metal, we installed the downward bracket.
That's the metal cross beam that's part of the van right here. This is the piece of wood, and then we attached the metal drop-down arm of our shelf into the wood.
This went in before any of the nice wood ceiling.
And you could see that our ceiling just butts right up to the wood piece that we had installed, because there's also a wood piece sandwiched this way that we nail gunned our ceiling into. So this is actually sandwiched between this piece of wood and the piece of wood that's going this way that we stapled our ceiling into. I hope this all makes sense.
Yeah, it's not as good a instruction if we would have done it at the start, but we figured this will actually kind of give you at least a sense of what we did to get this, because this has been something that we're really happy with. It gives us a bunch of extra storage space, and it's something that we've seen in just about every van conversion for a Ford Transit Connect.
Mm-hmm. And we just fabric glued underneath this to make it look prettier from the cab area, but I think we're gonna have to peel this back, but you can kind of see that this is like the L bracket, and then the piece of wood just sits on the L bracket. And this is just indoor-outdoor carpet.
The same carpeting we used on the rest of the van. So basically, we'll pull this away. There's a lip here.
I just put this here because we had like some of the screws. When we put the carpet over it, it like bumped out. So in order to flatten out some of the parts with the screws, I just put a little bit of extra cushion from our bedding that we cut up.
We pulled the clips that hold the sun visors down, and that's what really anchors this in at that point. Right now it's just kind of floating and has a little bit of access up there. So just to clean it up and get it back to good shape, we want to make sure that we anchor it in properly and get it re-secured.
But now we're going to take the whole shelf down so that way we could reinsert those 2 clips for the visors and hopefully fix the plastic shelf that came with it. And then we're going to reinstall the shelf that we made from scratch step by step to show you a little bit more in detail everything that we've been trying to explain in this video so far.
That out. And then okay. Now that we've removed the board, you can kind of see what this would have originally looked like in just your average Ford Transit Connect. So we actually drilled in these holes to the front lip of the plastic overhead shelving unit so that we could attach the bolts in, and then the wood just sat on top. We used it as a mounting piece.
The L bracket sits on this, so it sits here and then goes over. The board rests on there, and then the L bracket on the other side sits here, attaches here, and holds the board in.
Now we just need to re-anchor this in and get it set. We're going to put this back up like this, push up, and then just drill it in.
Yeah, the problem was once we took this out, the whole shelf shifted forward and we couldn't push it back up to get into the correct hole to be able to reattach it. So this part has been free floating, which is why we needed to take the entire shelf down to be able to not have the pressure of it pushing forward, so we could reattach the screw and then have our good shelf back. We have successfully fixed our shelf. Now when I jiggle it, nothing happens, so this isn't going anywhere. These go back in perfectly. It's good to go. So now we have the task of reinstalling the shelf so that way it goes all the way out to here and we get more of our storage back. But before we do that, we figured we'd give you some dimensions.
Yes. So basically this is just a plywood board that we cut down to a dimension that would fit in that space over our heads. So it's a 47 by 18 inch board, and we actually cut notches out so that it would fit in a little bit more snugly. So these are a 1/2 inch in and 1 1/4 inch from the bottom of the board.
And that little cutout gap is meant to fit over this. 1/2 inch over, inch up, goes deeper.
The board's gonna slide in and mount on the front and the back. So this L bracket is 1 inch by 1 inch on the lips and sits on top of that plastic overhead shelving piece. And this one, the board rests here on this lower one, and the front is what attaches to those down hanging metal bracers. But each of these L brackets we cut to 46 inches. So it gave us a little bit of room with the board on either end to be able to get it centered. Both of them are that same 46 inches in length.
It's really nothing high tech at all. Basically it's a board, 2 L brackets that make it sit and line up.
All right, so basically this just kind of sets in up here like that. So it just sort of fits in. There's not really much more to it, and then we'll just anchor the front end and it should be secure.
And then put carpet over it so you don't see any of this mess. Mike is just going through and putting the bolts back across the top.
These are all 1/4 inch heads and fairly large bolts, but we just wanted to make sure that it was kind of easy to go on and off with everything and anchor everything solidly. So it may be a little bit overbuilt with some of the stuff, but they also fit in the bolts that we got all fit in the spaces on the L brackets. So more than anything, that's kind of why we went with this size.
The board itself is about a 1/2 inch, and you can see it resting up against the plastic here. And just one last measurement, this length, which again attaches to the wood up here, is 10.5 inches. So you can see 8.5 right here, and then it goes up 2 inches to the top. That's attached to this 2-inch wooden board.
The spacing between the two downward posts are 25.5 inches, and we felt that that gave us a nice centering spot to have a nice, secure, stable platform.
And a big cubby area to go in here. But yes, from the circle to this circle is 25.5 inches.
The last things we have to do today in reattaching the overhead shelving is just putting those decorative covers. I think you can tell why we would have wanted to hide this a little bit. It's not the worst thing, but it just isn't the best, most comfortable look. So we bought those boards and cut them to scale to just cover up this bit of the metal part. So
and it's really sharp.
Yes, that too actually. So these come back out and then we'll anchor this and we're good to go. Okay, so these are mounted up again, and that's it. That's basically the gist of the overhead shelving. We've seen a couple of different strategies for making these overhead shelves. This one for us was just pretty simple and straightforward. It's worked really well for us. It's felt really strong and sturdy. We've had a lot of things in the overhead shelving. We've put tents up here. All of our clothes usually go up here. So it does carry a lot of weight. It just has been a perfect solution for utilizing this space up here.
Tomorrow we'll come back out and spray glue this and put some new carpet up. But again, that'll be for tomorrow because we're cold and hungry.
Yes.
So, see you then.
Grab your coat and an open mind, 'cause when we do, we're white as sky. So clap your hands and stomp your feet, and would you build something with me?
It is the next day, and we've been able to make use of a couple of really nice weather days here during Western New York's winter, which doesn't happen too often. We came back out today, got the carpet reinstalled on the overhead shelf, got the shelf reinstalled that you're sitting on now, as you can see. So we are ready to head out to our last 2 states to finish this 50 states road trip.
By the time you see this, we would have already finished our 50 states. So if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch that. But we do still need to prepare for those 2 states that we have left. We have to put our cushions back in and get this van ready to go. There are a couple more projects that we're going to need to fix after we finish 50 states, so there's probably going to be a few more videos of things that we need to do. For example, we still need to fix our windshield from the Alaska highway, so it's only getting worse.
Be on the lookout for some more van sort of centric content once we finish up our 50 states. There's, like Heather said, some projects that we want to do. I think we'll be in a better position to discuss how we felt about traveling to all 50 states in a van this size. So we'll definitely pivot a little bit and focus on those to give a better rundown and sort of summary of how this trip actually went and this journey in a van this size.
Yes, we've gotten a lot of great questions over the 2 years that we've been doing this, which is just mind-blowing. The time has flown, and a lot of them about our van, but because we were moving so quickly to get through all 50 states, now that we're home, we'll have a little bit more time to do a deep dive. We may even do another van tour because we have changed quite a bit from our first one, and talk about the upgrades that we did, some things that we could maybe live without that we did, and just give a really great overview of this van that is going to be taking us to all 49 states.
Yeah.
We're just really pumped about this weekend because we're finishing the last 2.
Thank you so much for checking this video out. We hope that you've enjoyed our 50 states journey, because this one will be coming out post that. But let us know in the comments if there's anything that you want to see moving forward that's more van-centric content, or if you have questions about visiting all 50 states, let us know those as well, because we'll have a little bit more time on our hands now that we're home and finished traveling.
We have no idea what we're doing next.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We still have to figure out what we're doing now that we'll have completed 50 states. So be on the lookout for all of that. Thank you again for watching, and we hope we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I have to go get the glue off my hands.
I'm living my best life. I wake up with the sunrise. It does not look a thing like I thought that it would, but I've been getting my steps in, and I sleep with my best friend. It's the best that it has been in a long time. I'm living my best.